Hi guys, I'm back from my 12 days vacation in Japan. And I have to admit, I really missed making videos for you guys. Now this may have been a vacation, but I was on a quest trying to answer two simple questions. Question number 1. How big is magic in Japan? Now before going to Japan, I actually had a picture in my mind that card games were quite huge and popular. And how does Magic the Gathering stores in Japan and how does their community look like? I wanted to give you a picture of that. Now, this is just coming from one person going to Japan for 12 days, so I can't really deliver a complete perfect picture of it, but I think I can bring you an image of how it's like to go there as a tourist. Question number 2. How does the EDH community and EDH gameplays look like in Japan? Now, this is probably the $1 million question considering this is an EDH focused YouTube channel. This is probably a really difficult question to answer considering I was only there for 12 days. But I do actually think I will be able to deliver a small picture of it. So let's begin with question number 1 and take it step by step. The first thing you need to do is actually find the places you can play Magic at. My recommendation is going into Google and search for something like MTG Stores Kyoto. Or if you're in Tokyo, just write Tokyo, and you will get pictures like this. Small dots all over the place where you could go and play Magic at. This is Akihabara, a train station in Tokyo City, and probably the place where you can find most card stores in the entire Japan. I gotta say though, that there is a lot of card stores running around all over Japan, and I gotta say that I actually stumble upon some of them by accident. I was literally walking the streets of Akihabara and just turned my head to the left and found this little sign, Card Max. So that takes us to the second step, going there physically in person. And this is where things are getting a little bit complicated and tricky. I don't think you can see it, but if you look up there, that's all you get for knowing that you're in the right place. Let's actually see if we can zoom in. So obviously I don't read Japanese. I was standing in the street and I saw this little tiny red text right here. Let's actually see if we can zoom in a little bit more. You can read it, Full Comp. Full Comp is one of the many different card shop franchises in Japan, and sometimes this is all that you get, a small tiny red text in English. And if you don't read Japanese, it can be a little bit problematic finding these places. Sometimes I actually had to walk around for several minutes trying to find these locations. For example, this is one of the easier card shops you can find, Yellow Submarine. And this is basically telling you this is the company Yellow Submarine, and the 4F is that it's on the 4th floor. So you actually have to find the entrance, which is in here. And then you go up to 4th floor in your elevator and then you find it. But that little sign, that's all you actually get sometimes. From time to time you're a bit lucky though. This is Dragon Star, another typical Japanese card shop franchise. And in this situation, you can actually see straight into the store and you see cards inside. And you know you're on the right spot. Most of the card shops in Japan are located in the upper stores, so I highly recommend looking up. And if you remember Yellow Submarine, I have a question for you. Can you find it in the picture? It's on the 8th and 7th floor. You can see it by the yellow text. And if you look to the right, you might see the tiny little bit of a Yellow Submarine over there. And this is also a great picture showcasing that there is Magic the Gathering stores all over Japan. Because this is actually two different buildings. And if you look at the other building, you might see some... on the 7th floor, 6th floor and 5th floor, you have another typical Magic the Gathering or card shop franchise, Amanita Dream. I don't know if you can read it on this picture, but the sign is right over there. Sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming. We're on the 8th floor of a big store, and on this floor we have 3 different card shops on the same place competing against each other. We have C-Lab, which is another big card franchise, we have Big Magic, and we have Full Comp. everything on the same floor competing against each other. I mean, what? Once you are inside, you can walk around and shop at cards hanging on the walls protected by plastic key and lock. So you can basically shop all day long, considering there are so many Magic stores in Japan. Or actually, can you? And this was actually something of an eye-opener. Magic isn't really the biggest card game in Japan. And I actually can understand that. Japan actually has a lot of their own card games coming from Japan, and I guess they rather play something that is from their own country. And when I walked around in a lot of different card shops, Magic was one of the card games that was a minority. Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and other card games that I don't know anything about were huge compared to Magic. This is one of the stranger card shops I found in Akihabara. It was basically just an open wall and a small tiny kiosk card shop, you could say. And I asked the people working there, and they basically said, no Magic. In this room there were 2 people playing Standard. In this room that had a huge amount of players playing card games, I found 5 people playing Standard against each other. The rest were playing other card games like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, or something that I don't know what it is. Now, when it comes to prices in Japan, I would actually say it varies. Some cards are really expensive and some cards are really cheap. This is a volcanic island for 60,000 yen. That is about 500 euros or so. This is, in my opinion, a really overpriced Emery Lurker off the lock. To the right it's a foiled and to the left it's a non-foiled. To the right it's 15,000 yen. 15,000 yen is something about $137. On TCG Player you can buy a Emery Lurker of the Lock full art for $14. If you want it in foil, that's $76. The difference is huge. However, it is actually possible to find a few cards that I would consider prize-worthy. This is the cheapest dual-land Plato that I found for 7,990 yen. That is something about 73 American dollars. On MTG Goldfish, a revised Plato would cost something about $120. Now don't jump the cannon too quick though. I would actually say that the condition of this card isn't that good. So in the end, I think this specific Plato is around what it should cost online as well. This is a promo version of Nahiri for 2,800 yen. That is, let's say, 25.6 American dollars, and in euros it's 23. The exact same card on MTG Goldfish is costing something about $28.6. So in the end, this is something you could purchase around the same or even a little bit below the market value. That's what you think, because here comes a little bit of a tricky thing. In Japan, the prices are always showcased without tax, and everything you buy has a tax. You have that in almost every country, I think. So everything you want to purchase, you have to add 10% to it. Then again, you have to pay freight shipping cost for cards you order online, so in the end, I guess it's the same. I found prices for Full Art Royal Science, 1,800 yen for non-foil and 3,600 yen for a foiled version. I found an Intuition for 4,900 yen, and in my opinion, this is way above market price. Don't buy an Intuition at this cost. I found a Platinum Imperium for 2,100 yen. If we look at MTG Goldfish, you can buy one at Amazon for $25, Card Kingdom $21 or $22, Channel Fireball $25, TCG Player $25.6. And if we look at what 2,100 yen actually is, it's something about 19 American dollars. So that specific Platinum Imperium was definitely prize-worthy. So the answer for question number 1 is basically this. It's a huge amount of card shops in Japan that you can shop Magic the Gathering cards for days. And if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, you're probably visiting Disneyland. However, these shops are really difficult to find, and if you don't enjoy looking at the GPS and trying to find these places, I don't think you're gonna enjoy your trip. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. I enjoy trying to find these places on a GPS, and it was like a treasure quest. That takes us to question number 2. How does the EDH scene, what kind of power level are Japanese people playing in Japan? This is where things looked really bad. They were playing a lot of card games. They were playing a little bit of Magic, but they weren't playing that much EDH. One thing I really liked about the country was that the Japanese people were really friendly, and don't be afraid to walk up to Japanese people and ask them questions. They truly want to help you. However, mostly when I asked them, do you play EDH? The answer that I got was no English. The second most common answer was no EDH. In Japan, it's quite easy to place different Magic formats in a hierarchy. Number 1 is Standard. Second to that is Pioneer. After that you have Modern, and then Legacy, and then that's kinda it. Now, why is that actually so? I got a really good answer from a nice Japanese person. I'm sorry for the background sound, so I'm gonna make this interview really short.
Is popular?
Yeah?
Okay. EDH.
EDH is not popular.
Yeah. Japanese player like not casual.
You like more competitive. Yeah. And EDH is just too casual.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically what he said was that Legacy is very popular, EDH isn't so popular because it's too casual and Japanese players like competitive. Hey, wait a minute! So when I got the opportunity to actually showcase my competitive EDH deck that I have brought with me, he liked it. I definitely think that cEDH has a chance of getting into the competitive mindset of the Japanese people. Currently it's not that huge, but don't worry guys, I truly found the place you need to go to if you're visiting Tokyo. I literally walked into a MGD store, business as usual, and I found this. It was a beautiful place. It more looked like a cafe. It had really Magic cards, art on the walls, and a TV showcasing the command zone. But it didn't stop there. They had an event board that had on it on Wednesday, 5 o'clock, Commander in blue text. In English as well. And also they had Commander on Mondays and also Fridays. It was a really sweet, nice looking Magic the Gathering shop. And it's called Tokyo MTG. Tokyo MTG is actually really close to the train station Sudubashi, which is also quite close to Akihabara. So over here we have Akihabara train station, and you can go to Sudubashi on a straight line to Tokyo MTG. Tokyo MTG is also really close to the Royal Palace. This is the Royal Palace Park, which is something I don't really recommend. I actually walked from Tokyo Station to the Imperial Palace Park, walked around there for some weird reason, tourist stuff. And the people running Tokyo MTG were some really friendly guys. Let's actually hear what they have to say.
Hey, it's Andy and Kaya at Tokyo MTG. We just want to introduce our store a little bit. We're probably the most well-known in Japan for Commander in general, when you say?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Like for casual Commander, I would say maybe.
Right. I think in Japan, in general, Commander is more of a competitive format, who can win on turn 3 every single time, basically.
Yeah.
So, and that's not really what a lot of people like, at least back home for me. Commander's not really about winning fast, it's more the politics and doing fun stuff, So that's kind of why our community is so big here and great here, especially in the non-Japanese sort of foreign scene in Japan specifically.
I mean, yeah, so we from Tokyo MTG, we exist since 2014, and even back in the day, we had a decent Commander scene, and it was kind of split up between like highly competitive players and kind of casual players, right? And now it kind of settles down to like a solid player base, where we have a kind of like a 50-50 mix between foreign players and Japanese, kind of.
Yeah, and actually, like, Commander is sort of working its like magic and having both Japanese, non-English speaking Japanese players playing with non-Japanese speaking non-Japanese players.
Oh yeah, and games get kind of ridiculous.
And obviously in like the most like ridiculous format ever, like with the hardest rules. But our judges, and pretty much you and I are in the shop most days as well. So we're able to kind of sort things out. But I think the one thing that we do that nobody else does is all this art. I think this is one of the reasons why Commander's playable in general, you know?
Yeah.
This is kind of the language that kind of breaks that whole barrier between everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think everyone knows this card, right? So, unfortunately, he can't be a general, but he's still powerful enough.
Promo Grave Titan.
Promo Grave Titan.
We actually had Lucas Graciano here doing a repaint of a live repaint. It was 2 hours oil painting session that he did for us.
Initially, we only had Wednesdays as our big Commander days, but at one point the store was just too crowded and not everyone could fit in the store. Even though we also tried to, like get more people in and have more seats available and so on. And then we came with the idea of just, making like a second EDH day, a Commander day.
Right, so Tokyo MTG Wednesdays have always been known throughout Japan as the Commander night.
Right.
But with the store layout that it is now, so everybody has nice elbow space, their knees fit under the table.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder to have so many players in, so we had to split it up between 2 days. And both those days are so popular, and Friday also sort of works as a pseudo-Commander day as well. But if you're just stopping by in Japan, this is the place to play. We're always running events every single day, not just Commander, but Mondays and Wednesdays are where it's at in Japan.
Right. I mean, like as everyone knows who plays Commander, like you want to play in your best case in your living room. So why don't we make a store which is almost like a living room, or which is exactly like a living room with all this art, snacks, drinks, and stuff like that.
TV,
Even streaming Commander. So yeah, it's like Tokyo MTG kind of worked into this giant living room for everyone. It literally doesn't matter if you speak Japanese or not, where you're from, what kind of deck you play. Everyone's kind of welcome. And,
you don't even have to bring a deck. Don't be shy. We have decks that we loan out. Everybody's bringing 5 or 6 decks themselves anyways, and are super cool with loaning it out.
So next time you're in Tokyo, check out Tokyo MTG and our Commander nights.
Yeah, stop by and stay for a spell, guys.
So in the end, I was finally able to play some EDH on my vacation. And I got some information about the Japanese power level and playstyle. Sure, they're not playing fine-tuned cEDH decks, but they're definitely playing with a competitive mindset. All the expensive mana crypts, mana vaults and ancient tombs, and really typical modern and legacy staples. I gotta say, I had a blast. Playing Magic in a cafe living room filled with beautiful magic art. So as a conclusion of this video, and question number 2 is that if I'm going back visiting Tokyo again, I'm definitely bringing my EDH deck with me again. Because I gotta admit, there's nothing like real Japanese ramen. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and you wanna support me, consider sharing my videos or even checking out my Patreon page. Also, purchasing cards from the TCG Players website using the affiliate link down below will also help the channel grow. So a big thank you to all of you.